Hi, welcome to my blog. My name is Tom Shu, and today I want to teach you about the pen tool. And the reason why I want to teach you about the pen tool is because it's going to allow us to build some Christmas cards. Uh, Looking at some of my other tutorials, like with the image folio, working with textures, how to define brushes, we're going to start to put all this stuff together and build some Christmas cards. We'll start out with some simple Christmas cards, and then we'll go to some more elaborate Christmas cards. So first of all, before we start working with the pen tool, I'm going to show you how to make a preset for a card. There's two different kind of cards. One card you open up like a book. That's just a standard card. And then one you kind of flip up. It's kind of a horizontal card. So the vertical card is like a book, and the horizontal card you flip up. So if you click File, New, and you come in here, it's going to give you some preset options. We're going to work in inches, and we're going to make the width 7 inches. Okay, and the height will make 5. That'll be a 5 by 7 horizontal card. Since we're going to be printing, we want to be 300 dpi or pixels per inch for resolution. We want to be in RGB color mode. 16 bits fine. We'll start off with the transparent background. Make sure you're in sRGB. So if you want to save this as a template so you don't have to go in and change all this, we'll just do save preset, and we'll call this custom card, horizontal card, custom horizontal card 7 by 5 inch. We click OK. So next time when we start Photoshop, when we click New, we'll just go from the drop-down menu, and we call it 5 by 7 custom horizontal 5 by 7, and there it is, 7 by 5, 300 dpi, 16 bit with sRGB color space. So we click OK, and then there's our template. So let's just make a quick background to work with this pen tool. And this will be the same thing we'll do to create a card background. So say if we want to make, say, maybe a light red, we'll come over here and create like a light red. So you choose the shade of red that you want, and then you make a lighter one. Okay, so maybe something like this. So there's a light red color. This is the foreground color. Now we'll choose the background color, and maybe we want it to be a dark red like this. So we click OK. So we'll just use the gradient tool, which is right here. And this is a radius gradient. This is the linear gradient. And if you click on this gradient drop down, we got the foreground to background. That's going to choose these two colors, okay? And on the linear gradient, if we just draw a line right here with our gradient tool selected, it'll just make a nice fade between the light and dark. If you do it short little drag, it'll just do a small one. So we'll just drag across here. I'm not digging this color here. So I want to maybe come over here and make it a little bit more rich color like this, but I still want it to be lighter. So maybe something like this. Maybe I need to be a little bit darker on this one. Okay, something like that. Yeah, that's kind of Christmassy. All right, the pen tool. Here it is right here. A lot of people are intimidated by the pen tool because it takes a little bit of trial and error to figure out what's going on, but I'm going to try to help you eliminate that trial and error. The pen tool will let you make a shape, a mask, or a selection. A selection is the marching ants. A shape is actually like a rectangle. If I want to, say if I do something like this and I come in and I grab the paint bucket tool and says just maybe make this black. Okay, we make a new layer and I fill this rectangular. Now I've got a black rectangle. That's a shape, right? Well, it's hard to make a complex shapes with these tools they have. Okay, so let's delete this layer. Control D to get rid of that selection, and let's go with here. Now, if you grab this pen tool and you click once, it'll create a point. If you click again, it'll make another point, and you click another one and another one. And when you come to the end, you're going to close this, and it will make a path. Now, this path isn't square; it's kind of crooked. However, we can make it a shape. We can make it a mask. Let's Control Z to back up, and that's Command Z on the Mac. We can make that path a mask. You see over here, it's generated a mask. Control D to back up, or we can make it a selection. Here we can apply a radius, and I'll show you that in just a second. But now we have the marching ants. Okay, so we control Z, and if I do selection again, and say if I put 20 pixels of radius in there, watch what happens to the corners. They're rounded. Alright, so let's back out of this. Okay, so now a trick with working with the pen tool is if you hold down the shift key, you click your first point and hold the shift key, it'll make a straight line from wherever you go. So even if you go to this area, it doesn't matter. It's still going to make a straight line from point to point. Just back off. So if we start here and we want to make these kind of straight lines, we come here, we get our circle. Now we can turn this into a selection, and they can have radiused edges. Okay, big deal. Here's where the real strength of the pen tool comes in, is making shapes. Say for example, we want to make a Christmas tree. Alright? Let me get this to default. Let's just drag one of these points, these rulers out here, just for a guide, so I know where the top of the tree would be. If I wanted to, say, maybe start right here at the top and make a point, and come over here and make a point, and then just come over here, and then come out here. I'm not saying this is going to be the greatest Christmas tree, but it might be something. I'll hold the shift key and come across the bottom. And what I'll do now is I'll come in and I'll grab another couple guides just so I know where I'm at on these outer edges, these points, so I'm symmetrical. Okay, so when I come up here, Control C to get rid of that one. I want to come down a little bit further. Okay, so with this selected, if I come up here, so we're making this point right here. I want to come up somewhere in this area, and I'll come out to the line. Same thing up here. I'll grab one here. And I close it. Now we've got this Christmas tree, right? It's sad looking, but I'm going to show you how we're going to fix it. So we're going to take View, and we're going to clear these guides because I don't want to see them anymore. Okay, so we've got this pen tool here. I can come in and change. If you hold the Control key, and that's the Option key, or I'm sorry, it's the Command key on a Mac, and you click on this path, you'll see that it gives you all of these paths. Now look at the cursor. If I click, see there's a minus sign, and if I hold the Control key down, I can put like handles on it, and if I hold down the Alt key, you can see that I get this same thing as I did before. That's the anchor. Okay, so this is kind of cool. Let's watch what happens to this pen tool. I hold it, click it one time to set an anchor point, and I come over here and I click and I don't let go of it, and I just drag the mouse. Look at that radius that I just created. Okay. Now if I come over here and I try to make a straight line off this radius, it won't allow me unless I turn this into an anchor point. So if I come over here and I just want to draw a straight line from here to here, this is where people get frustrated. They go, well, Jesus, it doesn't do a straight line. Well, it's doing radiuses now. We want to tell this thing to draw a straight line. We need to tell it, hey, you're an anchor point. You're not a radius point anymore. So we're going to hold down the Alt key, and we get this little triangle on our pen tool. So now we've got rid of the handle on this side. So now when I draw across, it's going to let me draw a straight line. So if I come over here, I can get another curve if I want. And if I want to draw a straight line off that, right, I'm going to have to hold the Alt key, and that's the Option key on the Mac. Click on this and make it an anchor point, and now I can make a straight line. Okay, just back off and get rid of all this. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. So again, we're going to hold down our Control key, and we're going to click on our path, and we can do the same thing with this shape. Okay, so we can start to get rid of points and make radiuses. So if I hold down the Control key, you can see there's a minus symbol. That's saying that I want to get rid of this point altogether. Click on it, it's gone. Control Z to back off, we'll put it back in, and that's Command Z on the Mac. That's an undo command. So say if I wanted to get rid of this point, click on it. It's gone. Control Z to undo. Say if I want to add a point right here, I click on it because I've got the plus symbol. Now I've got those handles. Well, I don't have to make this a curve. I can hold down the control key and I can move this point around wherever I want. Now also with the control key selected, I can grab these handles and I can rotate them. I can make them longer or shorter. When I make them longer, you see that it does these long lazy curves. When I make the handle short, it's these short abrupt curves. And I can grab the top and bottom independently and they don't have to stay anything. So I can define how tight the radius will be when I bend it or how lazy the curve is. Okay? So now that I've got this radius in there, what if I wanted this to be a straight line again? If I hold down the control key and I click this, actually I'm sure got to go to the alt key, and I click this, it'll turn it back into an anchor point. Now I can hold the control key and move this around wherever I want. If I wanted that point to go away, I just click on it minus and it just deletes it off. Okay? So watch what happens with the cursor. Right there with this particular cursor, I don't know how you define it, but it looks like a snowball with a star in the middle. This is saying I want to make a new path. Okay? So let's back those off. So what we could do is we can come in and make a neat looking tree from a based shape. So let's put some radiuses in this bad boy. So let's hold down our control key and click it and let's put some handles in. Make that an anchor. Okay, so let's make this a curve. And we can make that a curve if we wanted to. We can make that a curve. And let's make this a curve. And when you work with this shape for a while, you can come up with some unique things. Now I've already made a path, and all the pen tools work the same. Whether you're working inside Photoshop or Illustrator or Fireworks. So I worked on a project in here in Fireworks, and you can see that it's a pen tool path. It's exactly the same as Photoshop, except I took, instead of creating a shape, I just used it to put a stroke around it. Then I stuck a bunch of Christmas balls in it. Okay, and I'll show you guys how to do this in a later tutorial if you want. I'm just trying to teach you guys how to work with the pen tool in Photoshop. Okay, so this is kind of a finished result. So this is what we're talking about doing, is working inside Photoshop to get what you want. Let's delete that point. If I want to add a point, I just click and add a new point. Delete it, add it. So I want to make that an anchor point. I'm going to hold down the Alt key. That's the Option key on a Mac. Then I'm going to move it with the Control point. I want to get rid of this one. I'm going to make it an anchor point. I'm going to make this an anchor point. I'm going to make this one an anchor point. Make this curve an anchor point. Okay, and then I can hold down the Control key and just move them around however I want. Okay, and then if I want radiuses, no problem. Just drag in a radius and delete the other point. Okay, so to delete, you just don't do anything with the buttons. You just click. Okay. Oop, I didn't want to do that one. I want to go ahead and I want to move this one over. Okay, so with the Control key selected, I can grab this radius and pull it however I want. The handles are both on one side. I need to fix that. Maybe if it gets too far out of whack, I just delete it and add a new point. Control key selected. Now I can make this shape over here. So say if I want to turn this point into a handle point, this is an anchor point, I'm going to hold the shift key, and then when I click it, it'll give me the handles for that point. Okay. and I can just draw whatever the shape I want. So let's back out of this stuff. Just get rid of this point. Let's get rid of all of them. Let's come in and click them and get rid of them. I'm sorry that I'm babbling a little bit here, because I just, when you're working with this, trying to explain it to somebody, it's a little harder than just working on it. And there's a lot to this tool. However, this is how you unlock your creativity for making custom shapes or working with custom tools, creating custom selections or custom masks. Say if I want to cut out somebody's face, I can make them, a selection around their face with the pen tool, and then I can make it a mask. I don't have to guess. So anyways, I thank you all for taking time to visit my blog. Look forward to the Christmas card tutorials I got coming up. And until next time, we'll see you soon.